What is going on, guys? This is EK1 Gaming here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at my Diamondback build. Now you might be thinking, hold on, why are you bringing a build video out the day before a new title update? And that's simple. This build's still going to be very viable, if not even better. So guys, if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to click that little notification bell to be notified every time we upload content. Now let's go straight into the build and why I'm doing the build video today. Well, the reason being is I'm using the Diamondback. And if you don't know, the Diamondback is a beastly weapon. Using it in the PTS, it was absolutely incredible. Pretty much kind of one tap / two tapping people in the DZ. If you can hit a headshot with this, you're pretty much going to drop that person in a shot. So the reason I'm bringing it out today is so you have another day of just preparing yourself to be able to get the Diamondback, or to even have a rough guide of what to look for and what things you can put where. And I'm also going to suggest some changes for when TU10 drops. So tomorrow there's going to be new pieces of gear that I may add to the build. And I say may add to the build because we need to do some research and checking up whether some of the pieces are worth taking some of these out and swapping them with the new pieces, such as, say, I don't know, the headshot damage chest piece, or for example the 5% weapon damage gear set, or you know, there's plenty of other options. So the thing is, I'll go through the build the way it is now. We'll take a look first at the sharpshooter, which I'm using as the specialization. And the reason I'm using sharpshooter is pretty simple, you know, it's because of the increased stability and reduced recoil, and also the 15% increased headshot damage. So, I mean, 15% more headshot damage is pretty good. You know, there's some good things here. You get extra ammo and stuff like that. So there is some really good things to use on the sharpshooter. My second build would be gunner for the 10% armor on kill, and that would help out a lot, especially running like glass cannon like this is. Again, bear with me on the build. I'll tell you exactly what I plan to change. So of course we'll start with the Diamondback. For me, I got a very good Diamondback, and literally just before I made the video, I re-rolled the Diamondback and got these stats. The first ever roll of the Diamondback. I've only got one Diamondback, and I rolled it once and got these stats. I'm not going to re-roll it again because that to me is pretty much God roll. So on the Diamondback, if you didn't know what the talent is, you know, you've got hitting an enemy consumes the mark, guaranteeing a critical hit damage with amplified by 20%. So basically, as you're aiming down sight, you'll see like an orange marker highlighting different NPCs or enemies. When you hit those, it consumes the mark, so it takes the mark away, but it's a crit hit plus 20%. So that's fine. Okay, it's pretty simple. You'll know when you use it. I'll show you some footage of it being used, and you'll get the grasp of what it actually does. Now, going into the stats for the build, we are running 54% crit chance. Now, there's a reason for that, and I'll tell you that in a second. We are also then running 210% crit damage and 95% headshot damage. So you might be thinking 210, damn, that's pretty high, which it is pretty high. But what we want is more critical hit damage because we have quite a high crit hit chance. Now, the reason I'm only running 54% crit chance is because my watch level is not maxed out yet. So I've actually got like another, what, 3.2 or 4.2% added onto here. So that would actually put me up to 59-ish. So then I'd pretty much be maxed anyway because it maxes at 60. So for me, I'm just going to build this up. But anything more than 50% is very good, you know. With my watch, I've got maxed out weapon damage, maxed out crit damage. I haven't even touched the headshot damage yet. So once I get to level 1000, you know, then they're all going to be full. So I'm going to have an extra, you know, 20% headshot damage. So that's going to be 115% headshot damage. You know, I'm going to have even more crit chance. All of this good stuff. Another thing that to point out is hazard protection. Make sure you're speccing into that, especially if you're wanting to do the new raid, because it seems like it's going to be revolving around the hazard protection kind of way of building your builds. Now, this is just like a standard rifle build, and I've released a standard rifle build before. It's got 3 pieces of Providence defense, okay? And the reason being 10% headshot damage, 10% crit chance, and 15% crit damage. All 3 of those things you're going to be speccing into in everything. So on the mask, we have weapon damage, crit damage, and crit chance. Now, we've got room for improvement here. These are pretty low in comparison to some people that I see. And hopefully when the loot improves on TU10, if it improves on TU10, we can get these maxed out. So on this, I'm running 11.4% crit damage mod as well, just to add that extra. Chest piece. Right, now this is the first thing that we're probably going to look at changing once TU10 drops. Because of course, you know me, I always run perfect glass cannon. And if I'm being honest, I was always a fool to myself because the time to kill is so bad that perfect glass cannon does not even help. You know, it makes it even worse. So you can't really run perfect glass cannon in PvP that well. So this, I will be changing it out to the new brand set. So there's a brand set which gives you headshot as perfect headhunter. And if you haven't seen that, I'll put a link to a video where you can see the new brand sets and what they do. That's also going to give me 5% weapon damage. So I'm going to switch it out for that because I don't want to use perfect glass cannon. But still, the core attributes and the attributes should still stay the same. So you should have weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage, and then I'll use a crit damage mod on there as well. If you want to keep the perfect glass cannon, you can. It's fine. But you know, you're pretty much going to get dropped very, very fast, especially in TU10 because people are coming up with armor builds that are basically, they can have a lot of armor and they don't really have to do much damage to you to kill you because you're wearing perfect glass cannon. The holster, it's got 10% crit chance. This is Seska Viroba. Weapon damage, crit chance. So everything's basically reds. So I'm just going for a full red build. However, you could, when you get to 60% crit chance, you could technically switch out this and take 10% away and maybe switch it for a second piece of the brand set. Or maybe, you know, if you want that extra damage to armor, you could switch it to that. Or you could put a second piece of, I don't know, you know, you could make it your third piece of Providence if you change that chest piece. You know, there's plenty of options. So if you get to 60% and you just feel like, you know what, I'm going to go for 50% crit chance, then do it. Take the leap and see the difference in damage. If it's not of a higher damage, then switch it back. But, you know, keep the build and then adapt it if you want to just drop down a bit of crit chance for a bit more crit damage or a bit more damage to armor, a bit more weapon damage, etc. So again, I'll probably look at changing one of these, either this one or the gloves, but I'll show you that in a second. So the backpack I use is Providence Defense, and this always gets a lot of people saying, oh, why are you using Companion? Why not Vigilance and all that good stuff? Now, the reason I do that is Companion gives me that increase 15% all of the time because I'm always next to either teammates or I've always got my drone out. And if you're going to say, oh, but your drone gets shot down really fast, I have never, ever, ever had my drone shot down by an NPC. I don't know where that's coming from. I have played the game since day one, and I've never known an NPC to shoot my fixer drone. If you have an attack drone, like striker drone, then yeah, they're going to shoot it. A fixer drone, I have never had them shoot it down, ever. So this is why I use it. I'd rather have the 15% all the time than 20% when you don't take damage, for example. So that's my method of thinking. Again, weapon damage, crit chance, and crit damage mod. Now the glove, I use Grupo Sombra. So that gives me the extra 15% crit hit damage, which is perfect, right? Then I've loaded crit damage, crit chance on it with weapon damage. Simple as. Again, you could change that if you want to lower your crit damage a little bit. But if I was going to lower either crit chance or crit damage, I would put my crit chance down to 50% before I put my crit damage down by 15%. If that makes any sense to you guys. Kneepads, for me, still best in slot. Fox's Prayer kneepads, even with the nerf, and it's only 8%. But that 8% damage to target out of cover is more than if you were to put on like a little bit more crit damage or crit chance or whatever. So for me, that is still best in slot. Use it. It's got the 10% rifle damage on there, which is what you want. So that gives you an extra 10%, plus you get an 8% out of cover. So that to me is perfect. It's exactly what I want, and I probably won't change that even in TU10. So as a secondary, I'll run like a baker's dozen, or you can just run like an AR if you've got like an AR that you want to run, like Savage Wolverine or something like that. As a secondary, we'll take a look at the stats if I just drop a Savage Wolverine on. The Savage Wolverine's going to still have 54% crit chance and then 198% crit damage, which to me will do heavy damage anyway. Just as a secondary, bearing in mind there's nothing spec'd into AR damage on the build. Like there's no pieces here that represent just AR pure damage. So changing on the build, change the chest piece out, don't use perfect glass cannon. And possibly look at the whole change with dropping down to 50% crit chance and adding a bit more either weapon damage or armor, etc. So that hopefully gives you a rough idea of what you're going to need. Now you might be thinking, why is he showing me the pistol? Now the pistol for me is very good for PvE. Okay, you're probably not going to finish this or use this in PvP because it's pretty hard to proc, right? So swapping from this weapon within 10 seconds of killing an enemy grants 35% crit chance and 40% critical hit damage for 15 seconds. So basically get an NPC really low, then finish him off with your pistol, then switch back to your Diamondback or your rifle or your AR, and you're going to get an extra 40% crit damage and 35% crit chance. Now I'll show you in a second the footage of in the firing range of me using this so you guys can see it, but oh my, it's incredible. It really does make a difference to the damage. But as I say, it's not like, it's very circumstantial. So if you're using it, you know, it might not be that great in PvP, but PvE it's definitely fun to use. I will say that it's very fun to use. So skills I basically just use the drone, so the fixer drone that's healing me. And then I use the hive to get me back up, partly for the fact that I've got perfect glass cannon. I get dropped quite a lot, so I'll use that. Now, I mean, that's generally the build, right? I'm going to show you it now in the firing range and just, you know, just basically shoot some targets with the pistol and then with the Diamondback so you can see the numbers. Again, these numbers are going to change in TU10, and I'm telling you to do this build for a reason. So definitely try and put this build together if you're able to. If not, just adapt it slightly to how you would like it or how you play. And basically enjoy it, you know. TU10's tomorrow. Let's get hype for it. Let's go get that new gear. You know, get those new brand sets and all that good stuff that you're going to get. Even the new AR and stuff like that. There's so much stuff I'm going to try and get tomorrow. I'll be live streaming tomorrow during the release and launch of it. So we've got lots to do and lots to show you, where to go to farm different things and all that good stuff. So guys, I'm going to leave you now with some footage in the firing range and also some gameplay footage of this build. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave me a little comment in the comment section below. Take care everyone, and I'll see you in the next video. Let's go!
You're near Espinosa's last known position. The shade node should...